This exploration of the work, This Peculiar System of Morality, by Worshipful Brother B.C. Pottinger, explores Freemasonry as a unique moral philosophy, expressed through allegory, symbolism, and ancient rituals. It highlights the spiritual and intellectual growth of individuals, rooted in the belief that moral laws reflect a divine cosmic order. The text discusses the significance of Masonic initiation, symbolic tools, and the pursuit of truth, beauty, and wisdom, all aimed at the perfection of character. Freemasonry is portrayed as a path of continual self-improvement, guiding members from ignorance to enlightenment. Good evening, and welcome to tonight's presentation From the Quarries, an archive of Masonic lore.
Every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and then shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain, for he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience' sake.
Freemasonry is a moral and philosophical system deeply enmeshed in allegory and symbolism. It is defined as a peculiar system of morality, not only because of its exclusivity, but because of the unique way it imparts moral lessons, using ancient rites and rituals to reflect the larger cosmic order. This system aims to elevate the individual, both spiritually and intellectually, guiding them through stages of self-improvement and deeper awareness of their role in the universe. Freemasonry's foundation is rooted in the belief in a higher power, as reflected in the introduction to this video with a reference to Romans 13. This biblical passage establishes the idea that all power derives from God, and resistance to moral authority is tantamount to resisting divine will. Thus, Freemasonry frames its teachings within a theistic worldview, asserting that moral laws are a reflection of the cosmic order, ordained by a supreme being. The initiation ceremony and the northeast corner. A central moment in the Masonic initiation process is the candidate's placement in the northeast corner of the lodge. This position, symbolizing the foundation stone of a great building, represents the moral and spiritual cornerstone upon which the initiate is to build his character. Freemasonry encourages the initiate to construct a superstructure perfect in its parts, indicating that moral integrity, like the foundation of a building, must be solid and upright. In this phase, the initiate undergoes a moral trial. This trial, presented in a Socratic fashion, leads the initiate to understand that entry into Freemasonry is not granted through wealth or force, but through personal merit and moral fortitude. The lesson introduced here is crucial: the practice of charity and brotherhood. The working tools, symbols of moral guidance. The symbolic presentation of working tools to the initiate is one of the most critical aspects of the Masonic initiation process. These tools, notably the 24-inch gauge, the common gavel, and the chisel, carry profound moral meanings, extending far beyond their physical utility. The presentation of these tools at the beginning of the Masonic journey reflects Freemasonry's emphasis on personal responsibility and self-discipline. The tools are meant to be employed throughout the Mason's life, guiding him in his moral and intellectual development as he moves through the degrees of Freemasonry. Esoteric wisdom and the interpretation of sacred texts. Freemasonry shares much in common with other esoteric traditions, particularly in its interpretation of sacred texts. The Bible, like all sacred writings, is seen as an esoteric manual, rich with allegory, symbols, and hidden meanings. These texts, much like the rituals of the craft, can only be fully understood by those who are properly prepared and worthy of receiving such knowledge. For instance, the 6 days of creation described in the book of Genesis are not to be taken literally. Rather, they are symbolic representations of deeper spiritual processes, reflecting the division of light from darkness and the separation of the material from the spiritual. In this way, the creation story aligns with the Masonic journey, which also removes the initiate from darkness, or ignorance, to light, knowledge, and understanding. The esoteric nature of the Bible and other sacred texts serves as a reminder that the truths of Freemasonry, like those of religion, are incommunicable except to those who seek wisdom with a pure heart and an open mind. The historical and symbolic significance of time and number. Freemasonry draws from the wisdom of ancient civilizations, particularly in its symbolic use of time and number. The division of the day into 24 hours, a practice developed by the Egyptians and later refined by the Babylonians, Romans, and others, plays a significant role in Masonic symbolism. The use of the 24-inch gauge, for example, reflects this ancient division of time, while also embodying the philosophical idea that time itself is a gift that must be used wisely. Pythagoras, the ancient Greek philosopher and mathematician, is also referenced for his contributions to numerical symbolism and geometry. His association with the 3-4-5 triangle, a foundational concept in geometry, is not just mathematical, but deeply symbolic. The 3-4-5 triangle represents harmony and balance, with its sum 12 and product 60, symbolizing the structure of time and space. In Freemasonry, this geometric figure serves as a metaphor for the alignment of moral, intellectual, and spiritual truths. The Triad of virtues: truth, beauty, and wisdom. One of the central philosophical pillars of Freemasonry is the triad of truth, beauty, and wisdom. These 3 virtues form the foundation of Masonic morality and are deeply intertwined with the development of the individual. Truth is approached through reason, and it represents intellectual and moral honesty. It is the guiding principle that leads the Mason through the complexities of life, ensuring that his actions are in alignment with universal laws and moral order. Beauty is understood through the aesthetic faculty or the heart. It reflects the harmony and order inherent in the cosmos and in human life. Beauty in Freemasonry is not merely an external quality, but a manifestation of inner perfection. The pursuit of beauty is thus the pursuit of spiritual enlightenment, as beauty is the outward expression of an enlightened soul. Wisdom is approached through the moral faculty or conscience. It represents the highest form of moral excellence and is the end goal of the Masonic journey. Wisdom encompasses acts of charity, brotherhood, and service to humanity, reflecting the Mason's duty to live a life that benefits others as much as it benefits himself. These virtues, though distinct, are interconnected. A Mason cannot pursue one without the others. The triad of truth, beauty, and wisdom forms a triangle, with each point supporting the others, and the whole encapsulated within the circle of unity. This triadic structure is reflected in the Masonic rituals, where the initiate is gradually led through stages of intellectual, aesthetic, and moral development, ultimately uniting these values within himself. Allegory and symbolism in Masonic teaching. Freemasonry makes extensive use of allegory and symbolism to convey moral lessons. Much of this symbolism is drawn from ancient myths and sacred stories, which are interpreted within a Masonic framework to teach timeless truths. One such allegory is the biblical story of Abraham, Sarah, and Ishmael, which is frequently referenced in Masonic literature. In this story, Ishmael represents the lower, material nature, while Isaac represents the higher, spiritual nature. The tension between these two brothers symbolizes the internal conflict between man's material desires and his spiritual aspirations. Freemasonry also uses the allegory of the two brothers to illustrate the duality of human nature. One brother is bound to the duties of the material world, while the other is free to pursue spiritual enlightenment. This duality is central to the Masonic system, which emphasizes the need for balance between the material and the spiritual. The initiate's journey, like the journey of the free brother, is one of continual movement from the mundane to the transcendent. Moral order and the importance of freedom. While Freemasonry is an exclusive system, it ultimately embraces a universal morality. The moral laws that govern Freemasonry are applicable to all of humanity, regardless of race, nationality, or background. Freemasonry's focus on conscience, self-discipline, and personal improvement transcend individual differences, uniting its members in a common pursuit of moral and spiritual growth. One of the key principles in Freemasonry is the concept of freedom under the law. Freemasons are free men, not in the sense of unrestricted liberty, but in the sense of being free to act within the boundaries of moral law. This freedom is governed by a higher moral order, reflecting the divine laws of the universe. Just as the initiate must conform to the rules of the lodge, so too must he conform to the laws of nature and the divine, ensuring that his actions are in harmony with the cosmic order. Freedom in this context also means intellectual and spiritual freedom. Freemasonry encourages its members to think for themselves, to seek truth through reason and inquiry, and to develop their own understanding of the world. However, this freedom is not unbounded. It is tempered by the need for moral responsibility and self-discipline. The journey of moral and intellectual development. Freemasonry emphasizes the ongoing process of moral and intellectual development, a journey that extends throughout the Mason's life. Each degree in Freemasonry represents a step along this path, guiding the individual from the initial stages of moral awareness to the higher stages of intellectual and spiritual enlightenment. The first degree focuses on the cultivation of moral truth, teaching the initiate the basic principles of right conduct. The second degree, concerned with beauty, encourages the development of aesthetic appreciation and the refinement of the intellect. The third degree, dealing with goodness, is the culmination of the Masonic journey, where the initiate is expected to apply the moral and intellectual truths he has learned in the service of humanity. Freemasonry's emphasis on the daily advancement in Masonic knowledge reflects the belief that self-improvement is an ongoing process. The Mason is encouraged to continually learn, reflect, and refine his character, always striving for greater understanding and deeper insight. This journey is not one of solitary endeavour, but is supported by the Brotherhood of the Lodge, where Masons work together to uplift one another and promote the common good. The great work, building a superstructure of character. The ultimate goal of Freemasonry is the construction of a superstructure perfect in its parts and honourable to the builder. This metaphorical structure represents the Mason's character and moral integrity, built through the application of Masonic principles. The superstructure is not merely a reflection of individual achievement, but is part of a larger cosmic design. By perfecting his own character, the Mason contributes to the great work of human and spiritual evolution. The great work is a concept found in many esoteric traditions, referring to the process of spiritual transformation and the realization of divine potential. In Freemasonry, this work is symbolized by the construction of the temple, an allegory for the perfect human soul. Each Mason, through his personal efforts, contributes to the building of the temple, which represents the collective progress of humanity towards a higher state of being. Conclusion: the end in the beginning. Freemasonry is a peculiar system of morality that offers a framework for personal and spiritual growth. Its teachings, derived from ancient wisdom and universal principles, encourage individuals to cultivate truth, beauty, and goodness in their lives. Through its rituals and symbols, Freemasonry guides its members on a journey of self-improvement, leading them from ignorance to enlightenment, from darkness to light. The Masonic journey is one of continual progress, where each step reveals new layers of understanding and insight. The end of this journey is not a final destination, but a continual process of refinement and growth, as the Mason strives to build a superstructure of character that is aligned with the divine order. In Freemasonry, as in life, the end is always in the beginning, and the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So mote it be. For a deep dive into the history, philosophy, and traditions of Freemasonry, subscribe to From the Quarries. You will find hundreds of lectures, presentations, shorts, and other Masonic works written by Freemasons for Freemasons. Visit FromTheQuarries.com or YouTube @FromTheQuarries.